Reddit, one of the biggest platforms that roams the web. Although it's been years since it was made, the site still thrives and claims its position in the big world of the internet. Because of the vast variety of community that it possesses, Reddit is useful for a lot of things, most notably for staying up to date on the latest news, trends, memes, and more. You can find the subreddits for almost anything, with the topics ranging from car repair, cleaning, woodworking, tips, stories, as well as confessions and ideas are included in the site. One of the community that I found is the r/CreepyEncounters. This subreddit includes one of the creepiest situations that people encounter. Saying this one post that I found in the said subreddit, it's safe to say that the following situation would make anyone wish of not experiencing. The following is posted recently, December 3, 2022, by our OP, Tiny on the Road. A creepy encounter that potentially saved my life. This go back to when I was about 12. We lived in a very bad neighborhood at the time. It was me, my little sister, and our parents. This was the kind of neighborhood you lived in when you had literally no other option. It was a miserable existence. I was often tasked with watching my little sister, who is 3 years younger than me. I also hated this. Her and I had gone to play with some neighborhood kids and ended up staying out later than we were supposed to. I remember trying to rush my sister because I was afraid I would get in trouble. I don't know why this specific part sits in my head still, and it makes me sad to think about, but I remember pulling her arm really hard because she wasn't keeping up. On our way home, we ran into these two older guys from our neighborhood. They were somewhere in the range of late teens to early 20s. Literally everybody in our neighborhood hated these two. They were always starting fights, playing their music too loud, and driving too fast. Just the kind of people you wouldn't want to hang around. As I'm pulling my little sister, one of them charges at me and picks me up. 12-year-old me wasn't having any of that, so I was fighting him. But eventually, he just took me and physically threw me in his backyard. I don't remember how the other bit happened, but the other one grabbed my sister and followed us. This would make sense to me later, but I noticed that their behavior was more erratic than usual. For instance, one of them would periodically grab me by the head and squeeze it around my ears. This terrified me because I thought they were going to kill us. I was crying, but my sister, oddly enough, held it together. I also recall they would randomly just scream things at us. Nothing about them was making any sort of sense. This went on for almost an hour. Then a cop car passed, and I remember screaming for help. He didn't hear me, but the two guys ended up letting us go. We ran home and told their parents. My dad would go and talk to these two. but he didn't do anything about it. I was told many years later by my mom, long after we had actually moved away from there and into a good neighborhood, that on that night in question of one of our neighbors, had brutally killed his wife and mother. Had we kept running, we would have been in the midst of that. These two guys pretty much abducted us for the sake of protecting us. As weird as that sounds, from what I can piece together, they would scream at us and cover our ears to prevent us from having to hear what was going on. I could have gone about it a hell of a lot better. But what's done is done. I'm writing this out because I actually ran into one of those older boys recently. He's actually a cop now and has been on force for about 10 years. He's very decorated and seems to be making an effort to keeping the streets safe. It was a creepy and scary encounter, but I'm glad there are people that still want to do some level of good. I hope everybody has a great weekend. After reading this, it is without a doubt that one would be terrified of what OP has experienced. Many would comment on how it was great for them to be able to move past from this situation. And with this said, life is the most fragile thing humans have. One must always remember that it is not permanent. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.